Hello, Teach Better family. My name is Katie Miglin, and I am so excited to be introducing another speaker for the Teach Better conference that is happening in a mere few weeks. We have today Niki Spears, who's going to be talking to us about all of her excitement that she's going to be bringing to the conference, as well as her specific session. So, we are going to come back in just about 15 seconds to talk more with Niki. All right, my name is Katie Miglin, and I am so excited to start our Monday with Niki Spears, who is going to be one of our speakers at the Teach Better conference next month. We can officially say it's next month in just a few weeks. Niki, welcome. How are you? You had a big weekend this weekend, but how's it going? How's your Monday?
Oh, my Monday is awesome, Katie. I just celebrated my 53rd birthday over the
Ooh.
weekend. And I celebrated all weekend, starting Thursday and ended yesterday, which I think I may just do a little bit more today.
I think so. You don't want to end the celebrations on a Monday. You want to keep it going for a little bit longer.
Exactly. So yeah, I had a great weekend.
Perfect. Well, that's awesome. I know we're kind of slowly getting into fall these days, and it's kind of a fun transition to switch into kind of more, school role. I see apples and pumpkins everywhere. So I'm glad you had a good birthday weekend. Now, Niki, I know you through emails and just kind of touching base with you about the speaker side, but for people who maybe don't know you or are unaware of what you do in the education world, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where are you at and what do you do?
Yes. So, Katie, I'm a former educator and school principal, and I left my job about 6 years ago to go out and help schools create and sustain positive culture. And so that's basically what I do now. I speak, I write, I have some books out, children's books and books for adults. But I go out and I speak about basically the power of positivity in our schools, which is so needed now more than ever after COVID. And
Yeah.
so I talk about what do we need to do to create and sustain positive culture. So that's been my thing. I founded Culture Creation along with my husband. And so we both travel the country and just spread positive energy.
I love that. And you're so right. We need more positive in the world for sure. So, Niki, I know you and I were talking briefly. The conference is just in a few weeks. It's October 14th and 15th in Akron, Ohio. And if you have not had a chance to head to the website, you can go to teachbetterconference.com, where you not only can register, but you can find the epic lineup of speakers where Niki is there. And Niki, you're going to be speaking on Saturday afternoon. You and I were just kind of talking about what that session will look like. And so when I literally have the schedule up and I'm looking and I see your session and it's Believe, Be Awesome, Be You. When you kind of created that, what were some things that you kind of thought about when what do you want people to take away? What are your hopes for that session?
Well, Katie, my hopes for that session is for people to kind of assess their belief system, okay? To think about the things that we think about most often. Because those things they grow in our lives. And sometimes when we have these negative thoughts and beliefs, it tends to bring our energy level down. And so when we can transform the way we think, we not only bring ourselves more energy to do the things that I feel like we were all called to do, but it also transfers to the people in our orbit. And so our energy impacts other people's energy. And so when we can believe, we can bring our awesome selves to show up and show out each and every day. And ultimately, I want to encourage everyone to be you, to show up and to show out every single day.
Niki, I think there's so much awesomeness that comes with that kind of that idea, right? It's the idea that being authentic, but also radiating that positivity is so important, especially educators. I think of the timing of this conference, it's mid-October. Sometimes October can seem like a really long month. As we've talked before, it's the dust kind of settles, kids are comfortable, teachers are comfortable. I know I've been hearing it slowly from teachers that feeling of just overwhelm is coming in. That some of those maybe not necessarily negative, but maybe not so positive thoughts are starting to kind of weigh on people. And so I think it's really important that you kind of shine to teachers and encourage them to be positive, but be themselves and look for those moments of joy, especially at that time of year. I hope that as teachers kind of walk out of your session, that they feel rejuvenated and they feel kind of empowered to take back some of that, love and passion that they have for the classroom, because it's so easy to lose it, like you said. So Niki, how did you kind of get into this? Because you started as a principal, you were doing that role. So at what point were you like, I got to change. I got to switch and do something that radiates more positivity?
I believe, Katie, it was definitely part of my spiritual journey. I
Okay.
was working as a principal and worked in a school with a pretty toxic culture. I was the fifth principal in 7 years. And so there was this feeling of victimization amongst our teachers, our staff, where they felt like something was being done to them. So it was hard for them to really put their energy and their focus on students because they were concerned about themselves and their own, their own circumstances. And I saw that we needed something, to uplift our teachers. And I brought in the book, The 7 Habits of Highly
Oh.
Effective People. And we started using that book. And then I was told by the organization that in order for us to use that book, we would need to become part of that program. So I could no longer use that book again. So with every challenge comes a great opportunity. I just started thinking, okay, so if we can't use those principles, what else can we use? And that's when I reached out to the author, John Gordon, with the Energy Bus, and asked if I could use that book. Long story short, created the Energy Bus for Schools Leadership Journey. I did that for about 3 years. And then I went and wrote my own book. And my book is titled The Beauty Underneath the Struggle, Creating Your Bus Story. And I came up with my own principles because, Katie, what I realized is that it wasn't the 7 habits. It wasn't the principles from the Energy Bus. It was that we were aligning to the same values, the same goals, and the same beliefs. And our energy was moving in the same direction. So we could replace that with something else. So a lot of schools that I work with, they already have values. They already have their mission. And so we can take that and we can talk about what does this look like in action when everybody is practicing these beliefs, right? So basically, that's how I got into it. It just kind of happened to me in a spiritual way. And I felt like God was just tugging me because I never saw myself as a public speaker. Every time I wake up, I'm like, what? How did I get here? But I find that I'm most comfortable. I really get excited to be on stage. And so I know that's where I'm supposed to be.
Oh, that's awesome. And, Andrew says when one door closes, so many more can open. And I
Oh,
think that is so cool, kind of the journey. And thank you for sharing that story, because it's so, it happens often, right? You come across a stumbling block and you're kind of stuck. And I can only imagine those initial feelings of, you thought you were doing something great for the staff. You had found this book, you were like, okay, we're rocking and rolling, making changes. And then to be kind of hit with that, I'm sure felt a little defeating, but I'm impressed, you're able to take that piece and realize, okay, we can pivot and we can figure out something else and then continue to grow and learn from that. And like you said, where would you be, now if you hadn't continued to persevere through that challenge? Oh, that's so good and so powerful.
exactly. Exactly.
Well, I'm really kind of excited to get to know you more, especially in person, and just continue to talk. We were talking before about kind of both of our, our journeys and stuff. And it's so it's so interesting how Teach Better Family has kind of grown and incorporated so many people from so many walks of life. You're down in Texas and you were a principal who now is a public speaker. You couldn't imagine doing anything else. And I applaud you for bringing your expertise to the Teach Better family and taking time to share that with us. But Niki, I have to ask every speaker I've interviewed and kind of gotten excited with, I have to ask the one important question. Teach Better conference in Akron is a few weeks away. What are you most excited about?
Well, Katie, this is my first Teach Better conference, so I'm learning the format a little bit. Usually I get at least an hour to an hour and a half to speak. Okay. I'm kind of excited to put myself out there. It's going to be a challenge for a 20-minute talk. So I'm excited about that because I'm one of those speakers, I don't practice. I never have. I don't stand in the mirror and think about what I'm going to say. I don't write it down. I just go for it. So I always surprise myself. I'm excited to see what are you going to be able to do in 20 minutes, Niki.
I love that.
Yeah. So bringing some excitement, giving them some tools to stay motivated this year. And I think what you said before about the October thing, it's something that happens to educators in the month of October. And they get what I call the October face. It's that face where I am tired. I don't know why I'm here. And so I think having this conference in the month of October, when we tend to get that face, we can turn that face upside down to give them the power and the energy to keep charging forward.
Okay. Andrea says it's going to be 20 minutes of fire. I think that is spot on. I'm so impressed that you do not practice, especially an hour and a half. That's amazing. 20 minutes, I could see maybe you're like, okay, I've got this, but to not practice ever is truly impressive. So that's
yeah.
Awesome.
Every event I do, I'm amazed at what comes out. I feel it's a spiritual thing for me. So when I hit the stage, I never know what I'm going to get or how I'm going to say it or how it's going to be different from the last. I kind of go with the audience and what I'm feeling from them and what needs to be said in that moment. So there's a prayer always before I hit the stage and say, God, this is all about you and not about me. So whatever happens on that stage is coming from a spiritual place. And so I get excited to see what happens. So it's almost like I'm watching myself, if that makes sense.
Oh my gosh. That is amazing. Oh, yeah. Dave's saying he can completely relate. I'm sure you and Dave Schmittou are going to have some good conversation in passing during the conference. But to really kind of just like let go and just kind of let the moment be, I think is incredibly impactful too. 20 minutes can go so fast, but feeding off of the energy of the room and what people need in that moment is so important because you and I am sure we've been in those conferences where it's clearly scripted. It's clearly like they're just saying what they've said to thousands of people before, and it doesn't feel very genuine. And as Andrea says, it does make it feel more authentic when you're just kind of in the moment, doing what was best for the room. And so I applaud you for being able to be so flexible because I'm sure that is not easy. I'm a type A person. And so for me to just wing it, I think it would be very stressful. So.
Actually, it's easier for me to do this, Katie, because I don't remember. And that's my challenge is I'll get on stage and then I'm like, what was I supposed to say here? So I'm guided by my PowerPoint slides. And my PowerPoint slides don't usually have words, it's images. Okay. That will guide me to remember the flow of what I'm trying to get to, right? As far as a script or words and all of that, I'm going to speak from the heart and go from there.
Wow. Okay. You and I are going to have to like talk and you're going to have to teach me your ways because that's amazing.
Thank you.
Well, Niki, I know that I am excited to meet you as well as a lot of other speakers. I still cannot believe that we're so close to the conference.
Yeah.
Teachbetter.com or teachbetterconference.com has all of the information that you might need if you're someone that is looking into registering, or if you've registered, but maybe it's been in the back of your mind and you're thinking, I should probably look into what the conference has going. Check out all the information. It's constantly being updated. I was just updating things this morning. There's a whole schedule. There's all the speakers. Everything is out there for people to see. So we can totally get excited as the countdown is getting smaller and smaller. So Niki, I am so grateful that you were able to take some time this morning. I know we were supposed to be live a few months ago. I'm so glad I was able to be live with you again this time and be able to connect with you. Any kind of parting words as people start their week? Anything you want to share?
I just want to remind people that you're awesome, you're the best, you rock, and constantly remind yourself of how great you are and look for those positive things today.
Oh, I love it. It's so good for a Monday.
Yeah.
Especially where I'm at, it's kind of gloomy out today. So that's such a positive, such a good thing to start your Monday with.
Look for the good.
Awesome. I love that. Well, thank you everybody for joining us, especially those of you who are dropping in the chat. And Niki, thank you. We'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you, Miss Katie.
So right now, I want to know if you're ready to teach better.
That's the whole mission of this weekend.
Just being here ready to learn and grow and come together like this is awesome.
What are those small changes that can make you better tomorrow than you were today?